Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope everybody's doing good. Hey, what's up, Kim? How are you guys doing? Hi to everybody in the chat. So this is April. I'm April with astrolada.com, and I'm doing a weekly horoscope for everybody, a weekly forecast / coffee talk, celebrity coffee talk. That means we talk about celebrities and we use them as an example to learn about astrology because, maybe they have something going on in their worlds, and we can take a look at their natal chart and see why they have specific things going on, or we can look at their personalities and so on. So I am covering April 26th through May 3rd of 2019. And yeah, so there is a lot of, Kim says confusing energy. She's got some confusing energy around the last few days. You know what? I think I talked last week about Mars squaring Neptune, or maybe I didn't. Because that's actually one of the transits I'm going to talk about, Kim, is Mars squaring Neptune, and that can definitely cause some confusion, some confusing, crazy things to happen. So, we're just going to talk about what the energy of the week is from one Friday to the next. And I usually like to cover Fridays because Friday is ruled by Venus, and I am heavily Venus ruled. So it's a day that I do well with, I guess you could say, energetically. Okay, so that is actually the first transit that's in line for me to talk about because I do them in date order. And we do have Mars squaring Neptune. Now, the 26th and the 27th, it's the strongest. I would say the 27th is when it's, at its exact. No, actually, I think it was today, the 26th. But anyhow, throughout the weekend, Mars square Neptune. So Mars, it is how we act, like how we put forth our actions and our energy. And it's movement, it's physical movement, it's your drive. You know what? I've noticed people saying that they are sleepy and that they are like low energy. And also, people can get lost very easily, like really literally get lost when they're driving. And some people are not paying attention to what they're doing, and they are like causing accidents and stuff like that. Like this morning, Mars and Neptune square, I was like, I looked at it because I didn't even get past my street, like my house. I just barely left my house, and then somebody wasn't paying attention and they just whipped a corner, didn't even see me heading this way, and they started heading that way. And luckily I stopped because I saw them, and they almost hit me. And I was like, oh, word, really? Okay. And then I pulled out even further to pull out into the main road. And once I got out into the main road, somebody else almost swiped me. And I was like, are you this 2 times in a row within like a few minutes? What transit's going on? Looked at my phone, looked in the app, Yes, Mars and Neptune square. Neptune rules being lost and confused. It also rules being under the influence and just not paying attention. You're in la la land with Neptune, right? So when you combine that with Mars, which is action, I mean, that's some stuff that can happen, is people just not paying attention. I have had some friends say, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I'm drowsy, very low energy. Yeah, that's actually been going on. I've seen people post about it. I've had friends that I've actually talked to personally tell me that that's how they felt. I felt it too, but that's why I have my tea, my caffeinated green tea. And actually I have my Taurus cup because it's Taurus season. So my Taurus mug today. But I'm trying to stay awake. There's things to do. So it can slow down your actions, Mars square Neptune. It can slow them down. It can detour them. Mars is physical movement. And I just came from a little while ago from a dance studio because a friend of mine, she's like a dance partner of mine. And we started like 16 years ago. We got into dance together. And we used to do like performances and routines and everything. And tonight we're like, you know what? We're 16 years older, but let's see what we can do still, and we both got tired so easily. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're so old and slow now. But you know what? I think that may have something to do with it. But this transit does too. It can make your energy levels just like burn out very quickly and dissolve. Because imagine Mars, wanting to move fast, and then it runs into fog. Okay, that's Neptune. It's fog. What's going to happen? You know what I mean? And or dissolving energy is Neptune. So that's what can happen when you try to put forth a lot of physical energy, unfortunately, under this influence. But good thing is, it only lasts a few days or so, being at its peak and being very strong, and then it starts to dissipate. But Mars square Neptune is still pretty good for dancing and putting forth creative energy combined with action. As far as the creativity with like coming up with things and being able to experiment and move around in creative ways. But yeah, you just like, if you try to exercise and overexert yourself, like it'll just be like that you'll be like, zonked out. So Gemini Love says, oh my gosh, my mom was in a car accident today. A truck hit her. Thank God she's okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, poor thing. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I hope she is okay. Hope she recovers all right. That's really crazy. Yeah, so, actually a friend of mine messaged me this morning and said that her sister was in an accident too this morning. So I know accidents happen all the time and every day, no matter where, no matter what transits are going on, but some of them can cause like an increase in them because of things like this, people not paying attention. But Mars square Neptune is still Mars, which is movement, combined with Neptune, which is like, it rules acting and art and stuff. So if you do any of that stuff, you can be extra like creative and artsy. Okay, so on the 29th, this is when we have Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. And I'll do a little horoscope for the signs, because there's no like new planetary ingresses into new signs, like shifting into new signs this week that I'm covering, or any like new moon or full moon. I will cover the new moon in Taurus next week because I'm only covering through the 3rd of May, and the new moon is on the 4th. So Saturn retrograde, what's that going to be like? So Saturn is going retrograde, and it's going back over the degrees that it has been covering, like hovering through, from January 23rd of 2019 until now, until April 29th. So for the last like 3 months, wherever Saturn has been the last 3 months, there's going to be a review going back over that area of your life. And I'll tell you what area that is by your sign in a little bit. But Saturn could be about karma. He could be about you having to what's the word? Like, face the consequences of things, of your actions, of your words, of things that you do, So Saturn is going to be going back over the grounds he covered the last 3 months, and he will be in this area until September 18th. And he is in a conjunction with the South Node. So on the 29th, Saturn goes retrograde. And on the 30th, Saturn is exactly conjunct the South Node the day after it goes retrograde. So that really means something. This is really people maybe reaping the rewards of something if you have been properly doing what tasks Saturn has given you within your life, wherever Capricorn is in your chart. But it can be maybe some like punishment or some sort of lesson that you have to learn that's going to pop up even stronger. Okay, so Saturn retrograde, it is reviewing, it's going back over, and it is, I know I repeat myself a lot, but whatever. But I always say the Saturn retrograde is like this. It's like a father figure, and they gave you a task to do. Like, say they told you to clean your room, like your pops told you to clean your room, right? And says, you better do it properly. You better do it right. You better do it thoroughly, and no shortcutting. And you say, okay. And then, Papa Saturn says, okay, kid, I'm going to leave you alone to do what I asked you to do. And when I come back and check on your work, it better be thorough. This room better be spotless and clean and thoroughly done correctly. And you say, okay. And then while Papa Saturn's away, what do? Maybe you're just like kind of goofing off and not really staying on task. And then time starts running out, right? And then it's like, oh my gosh, time's running out. Papa Saturn's going to come back soon. So I better make sure that this room looks clean. Maybe he won't notice that I shoved a whole bunch of stuff under the bed or in the closet, right? Maybe he won't notice. And then Saturn retrograde comes. That's Saturn coming back. Pops is coming back to check on your work. All right, kids, so did you do what I told you to do? Yes, I did. You know that little emoji that they have now? That's like the little skeptical face with the hand right here? That's a Capricorn face. Trust me on that. So that's the face that Saturn is making. And he gets a little suspicious, and he's like, well, I'm going to check over every single thing. Every speck of dust better be gone. You better not have anything under the bed. This place better be swept or vacuumed, whatever, right? Then he checks under the bed. Aha, what did I find? He checks in the closet. Oh my gosh, really? You call this thorough? You call this correct? Okay, you know what you're going to have to do? And then he may like pull everything out, throw it around, right? And it's like, you know what? Do it all over again. You're going to have to do it all over again. And I want you to do it slower this time. And I want you to do it more thorough. And you cannot shortcut because you can't fool me. Look what I found. So next time, you better just do it right, or else there's some consequences, right? Wow. So that's what Saturn retrograde can be like. Use that metaphor into your own life where Capricorn is in your chart. If you haven't been doing the right things there, that's where you can receive, from Saturn, or smack on the butt talks from Saturn. And you're going to have to just, oh my gosh, it's like restructuring things. It's like, okay, this didn't work. This method didn't work. So what can I do so that things work out better the next time? You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're supposed to be doing during Saturn retrograde is like, wow, my system that I had for, whatever I'm doing in this area, whether it's finance or your relationships or whatever, it didn't work very well. So what am I going to do to make sure that it's done right next time, And I also compare Saturn transits to, like, Saturn is literally the energy of like building things, like buildings and structures, old buildings, new buildings, it doesn't matter. So Saturn retrograde is like, I would say it's like Saturn when he was forward, he was overseeing people building a wall, right? Building some sort of a building, and it has a bunch of bricks, okay? And he gave everybody the blueprint. He gave them the assignment and all the tools and the directions and said, I'm going to leave you to build this building or, this whatever. And then he walks away, and then retrograde is him coming back, and he sees that there were holes, there's bricks missing. And he's like, oh, no. Listen, this is not a sturdy foundation. This is not a building that if a gust of wind comes, like a tornado or something, it's not going to withstand that. So I want you guys to tear this whole thing down and build it back up again. No missing bricks this time. And it can be such a tedious task. Like, oh man, do I have to? I can't just like fill it in a little bit, try to like wing it. No, Saturn doesn't allow winging it. It has to be thorough. So anyway, enough of my little stories and metaphors. I'm sure you guys get the point. It's redoing and restructuring stuff. So yeah, that starts on April 29th. And Saturn conjunct the South Node is really about some stuff from the past, maybe that you didn't do correctly, that could be coming back to you. And it is karmic, there's a karmic lesson there. And that's the 29th and the 30th. And then on the 1st, this is when Mercury is squaring Saturn, transiting Saturn. And then Mercury is how we're thinking, talking, writing, communicating. And in a square aspect to Saturn, you know what? Let me take a sip and we'll talk about that. Ah, yes, I love this Taurus cup. Anyhow, so Mercury is in a square to Saturn. A square is a challenging aspect and it's frustrating, but from frustration, we can have, the tension that causes you to get up and move and do something and change something, right? Adjust something. So, with that being said, I think Mercury square Saturn on the 1st of May, what this can do is it can cause, this is in Aries and Capricorn, which are two very bossy, authoritative signs. Okay. So this could be people who are in positions of authority. If you're in charge, if you're a boss, if you're a parent, you could be a little bit extra like on your you could be militant. You could be extra militant. You could be like super bossy and just, really like expressing your place of authority. Even if you're not legitimately in a position like that in your life, you'll feel like that. Some people will feel like that and be like, hey, I can't let you get away with this, whatever. But Mercury square Saturn, this can be people being checked, okay, checked because of their words. So watch what you say around this time. Because if you act out, like speak out in a manner that is very offensive and too blunt and too bold without even thinking, that Saturn energy will check you on what you said. And that can mean it can come in the form of a person saying something to you or you getting in trouble some kind of way, So you really need to like watch what you say around that time. This can have some people maybe finally giving a situation some disciplinary actions that have it's been deserving of. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there's some people that they haven't spoken out about something to someone that that a person needs to be kind of schooled on or disciplined on, So Mercury square Saturn can be like, you know what? I'm so frustrated. I'm finally going to say something and let this person know that their actions or their words were not right. And what else with Mercury square Saturn? This can have some people a little more prone to negative thinking, like in a negative Nancy state of mind, and just kind of seeing only the hard parts of things. Oh, I'll never get this done. This is too hard. It's too tedious, or yeah, it's too much work. So this can have some people tapping more into that energy. But yeah, it can be either you are doing too much and you need to be checked on it, or it can mean like maybe you're like seeing life from a perspective of more lack rather than optimism. Speaking of optimism, actually, a couple days later, Mercury does make a good trine aspect to Jupiter, which is on May 3rd. So it's only for a few days that we can be like a little more Eeyore, a little more, well, I don't know, this might be too hard. And then a couple days later, it's like, you know what? Actually, this isn't that difficult at all. I think I can achieve this. I can do anything that I want to do if I put my mind to it. And it's a lot of positive energy, a lot of positive, like saying affirmations and reading positive quotes and quoting them yourself and, putting them out there, putting positive words of encouragement out there to others and to yourself. So yeah, Mercury trine Jupiter, that can also be a really good day around the 3rd to make some travel plans. Mercury is no longer in shadow, no longer retrograde or any of that mess. So Jupiter rules travel. So yeah, maybe making some travel plans, making some plans to learn something new or just being more open to learning new things. Mercury trine Jupiter, that can have people having more of an increased ability to absorb larger amounts of data and information. Mercury likes to move really fast and burn through things, especially when it is in a fire sign like Aries. So a lot of people may not have the patience, just that Mercury and Aries transit alone, to sit down and to read something and take in a lot of data and info. Maybe they just want to skim through things and then they get bored and then they're on to the next thing. But Mercury trine Jupiter, this can be you having the patience to sit there and read lots of information, take it all in, and maybe even, spread the knowledge right back to people. So yeah, Mercury trine Jupiter. What else can we say about that transit? Mercury trine Jupiter. Yeah, it's just having a little bit more of a positive attitude, being a little more optimistic, and being very grateful. And you'll probably see people post a lot of stuff. I'm so grateful for the air that I'm breathing today. Just being thankful and grateful for everything and saying no worries, and, just posting more happy pictures of themselves and happy quotes, inspirational quotes. Okay, so we will go through the signs, and I'll let you know about Saturn retrograde and Saturn conjunct the South Node and how that affects you by your sign. Just a second. And also, then after that, we will get into some coffee talk. That means we will look at Adele's chart. Adele is a singer, and she is a beautiful singer. She's beautiful. Her voice is beautiful. Very powerful singing, right? So Adele just announced, recently it was announced that she and her husband are getting a divorce. And so this ties into the whole Saturn thing, that we're talking about. So we're going to take a look at her chart and see, like, if we can see the divorce in her chart, why this is going on at this time of her life, and look at a couple other things for her. All right, so Saturn retrograde and Saturn conjunct Pluto. Saturn conjunct the South Node. How is it affecting you guys by sign? And remember, Saturn is going to be retrograde until September 18th, and is covering the grounds of January 23rd through April 29th of 2019. So for 3 months, the last 3 months, what have you been up to in this area of life I'm going to mention, and what can be reviewed, revised, and done better. Okay? All right. So if you're an Aries person, an Aries rising sun or moon, Saturn is going retrograde in your 10th house and conjunct the South Node in your 10th house. This is your career, your public image, your title, your social status, and all of that. How everybody sees you if you are exposed to the public. So your public image. Okay, so what this is going to do for you, Aries, what's up for review is your career. During the Saturn retrograde period, Saturn retrogrades every year, right? And while it's in a certain sign, it goes retrograde at least 2 times, maybe even 3, depending upon like the transit, but at least 2 times you'll have a Saturn retrograde in an area of your life. Okay. And this is a review and revising of your career. This could mean that maybe you decide that the career path that you are on is not one that's working well with you. Like, it's not what you thought it was. Maybe some of you guys have been working super hard to earn a certain position or title, right? And maybe now you've gotten there, but you're seeing it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not everything you thought it would be. Maybe it's even harder work than you thought, and you would like your career to be a little bit easier on you and be something you could do long term and you actually love and enjoy, not like you're just grinding away, So it's a time for a review and looking at your career. Even if you're happy within your career, maybe it's like, what can you improve so that you can continue on to the path of success, climbing up instead of like taking any setbacks. There can sometimes be some major setbacks when Saturn's in your 10th house, I'm not going to lie, and especially when it's retrograde, because and the setbacks are usually like tough love that Papa Saturn is giving you. Okay. Like, maybe you do fall on your butt within your career. Maybe some of you get fired, or you get moved down in rank or position, but it's for the greater good in the end, because maybe something better comes along. So Saturn retrograde in the 10th, it does have you looking at your career, and maybe you're in charge of yourself, or you have your own business, and you just end up redoing things. Like you redo your website, you redo your imaging, you redo everything, your promotional stuff, that you put out there to the public. You revamp your whole image, your whole public image for some people. What else with Saturn retrograde in the 10th? I mean, that's mainly what it is. It's affecting your career for Aries people. And for some of you guys, it's not just your career, it's like your position of authority in life. And that can even mean as a parent or a grandparent, the legacy that you leave behind to your loved ones is the 10th house. So it could be like something to do with that, with the legacy that's passed on within your family, redoing something, And so that's for Aries people. So if you are a Taurus, so if you're a Taurus rising, a Taurus sun, or a Taurus moon, Saturn's going retrograde in your 9th house. So this is going back over some fears and doubts. Saturn is fears and doubts, by the way, too. Maybe some fears and doubts to do with your 9th house, which is your education. That is learning some things, and also travel, and also your belief systems and your opinions. So that's what Saturn is going back over for you. So maybe for some of you guys, you have felt, also education. Let me tell you, Saturn in the 9th can be education. And maybe you've been, furthering your education. Maybe you're in college, or you're taking some classes or something. And Saturn retrograde is going to be asking you questions of, can you really handle all the classes that you're taking? Let me tell you something, Tauruses. I'm a fellow Taurus sun sign. And when I had Saturn in the 9th house, like long time ago, by my rising sign, Saturn in the 9th, at that time I actually did go to college. I did enroll in college. Saturn in the 9th was calling me to do so. And I was a working single mom. I had a couple of jobs, and I had a kid, and I was on my own. And I was still determined to take, to go to college. Well, what I did is I signed up for too many classes. I thought I can do it all. I signed up for so many credits and classes that I ended up failing most of them because I took on way too much. And I bet you anything, if I were to go back and look during that period of time, maybe Saturn went retrograde in that 9th house. And he was like, you're doing too much. Saturn will get rid of things that no longer serve you, that are not good in your life anymore. So that's what happened, is I had to start fresh and new. And I had to get rid of some classes and switch to being a part-time student rather than a full-time. So yeah, that's what happened when Saturn went retrograde. I still continued on through college, and I did, I was successful and everything, but I just had to redo some stuff. So yeah, that's what happens with Saturn in the 9th. What else with Saturn in the 9th house? Maybe you are looking at your beliefs. That can mean religious. That can mean just, something spiritual that you believe in. Maybe you're taking a second look at stuff like that, and realizing that, what, like, here's another example. Once again, I'm a fellow Taurus, just like you guys. And I noticed that I'm starting to realize that, like, astrology and tarot and those general readings that we get, that I give also, but that we will look at or listen to online, you cannot always take them word for word as being exact. And I'm not saying to not believe in this stuff, of course, because these are things that I practice, hello, and that I try to spread knowledge about. But you can't always take that stuff like word for word as exact, and this is definitive, like this is what's exactly going to happen. You can't always take it that way. Sometimes you could be a little too hopeful. Like, for example, I noticed that a lot of times I'll listen to tarot readings on YouTube from different readers, and they have these titles that say stuff about like someone from the past is coming back, reconciliations are in the air, and you're like, oh my gosh. And if that's something that you really want, you will really want that so bad. So you listen to the readings and it's like, oh my goodness, but a lot of times I'm not dissing anybody, any readers or anybody out there, but they're just doing their jobs. But a lot of times stuff's said like, stuff is said like that, and it doesn't mean exactly that all the time, 100% of the time. So what I'm trying to say, Taurus, is something about things you believe in, you may be looking at differently. You maybe have to see like, what do you believe in and why, and how much do you believe in it? How much faith do you have in things? How much optimism do you have? Maybe you have a little too much faith in certain people and things, or systems, and you need to kind of start looking at them a little differently. So yeah, 108 dragon. Oh, okay, no. Debbie says, yeah, you always hear that. It's still true. Yeah, and like I said, they're just doing their job. They're grabbing everybody's attention and everything, to listen to a reading. But yeah, I just noticed that there's a lot of times that, if I'm like very vulnerable and hopeful, I'll take the readings as like gospel. It's like, this is what's exactly going to happen. Even myself as a reader, at times I'm very vulnerable, I need guidance, and I step down and I take my reader hat off, and I'm just a regular old person looking for guidance, and I take it word for word, and then it's like, oh, this didn't happen, and I end up being disappointed. But it's because it's general, and it's up to you and your mind and what you do with that information and how much of it you believe. And not fall into the trap of thinking that it's like exact. You know what I'm saying? Now, it is different when you have a personal reading done for you, when someone is directly connecting to your energy, your chart, or to your energy through tarot or whatever psychic work. That's a different story. I'm talking about like the general ones. Anyway, so I say all that to say, Tauruses, that's another example of like things that we believe in, our belief systems, and having maybe sometimes a little too much faith in things, to where we set ourselves up for disappointment. There should be a healthy balance there. You should understand that, things can go this way or they can go this way, and everybody has their own free will, and you have to just accept that. You can wish on a star all you want, but everybody has their own free will, and I don't know, you just gotta like realize stuff like that. So yeah, Tauruses, maybe you guys are coming to realizations about stuff like that too. And Saturn retrograde is going to bring more things to your attention about who and what you have faith in. Okay, so next up is Gemini. So if you're a Gemini rising, Gemini sun, or Gemini moon, Saturn is retrograde in your 8th house. The 8th house is an area of your life where you are working on, some of you guys are working on debt, like financial debt, clearing it out. So Saturn retrograde could be, especially you got to look at January, like January 2019 through now. What have you been going through in that 8th house? Have you been clearing up old debts, or have you been piling more on top of yourself? Have you been working through old traumas? Or have you been just kind of pushing them to the side and like, oh, I'm not trying to have any feelings. I'm not trying to think about any of this stuff. I'm just trying to go on with my life. Well, Saturn retrograde can bring some of that old stuff back up again in that 8th house, which is the back of your mind, and bring it out. And it's like, ooh, yeah, here we go again with these feelings and all this like trauma that I didn't deal with and that was unresolved. So, it can be a time where you're looking at experiences that really affected you very deeply, and sometimes negatively affected you very deeply too, looking at them again and like facing them Facing a lot of fears too is the 8th house, paranoias and fears. So, yeah, so that's what could be going on for you guys with Saturn retrograde, is working on stuff like that. And for some people, that does mean getting some professional advisement, some professional help, you know, like going to seek therapy, whatever therapy means for you. Okay. Saturn retrograde in the 8th, if you have any unresolved business, joint assets, joint affairs, like financial affairs and stuff like that, this could be a time when you're working on those. And maybe you got divorced and you didn't fully separate all of your joint assets amongst each other. So maybe this period of time is to where you can what was I going to say? It's going to be a time where you guys are reviewing all of that stuff. Maybe even going back over your divorce, as far as like the court system being involved, all the legal stuff, going back over that stuff again and fixing some things. If you're a Gemini and you're not getting a divorce or anything like that, well, Saturn retrograde in the 8th, yeah, like I said, it's just working on some fears, really deep fears that you have, and bringing them up. And, you know, maybe some of you guys actually have a fear of heights. And Saturn retrograde in the 8th, well, maybe this is you, like, working on that fear of heights and, you know, slowly but surely climbing up to, you know, higher places and being able to look down, or just don't look down, or whatever helps you, you know, to get over that fear. I know someone that when Saturn was in their 8th house retrograde, they actually had a lot of their old relationship stuff come back up. And they ended up writing a book. They wrote a book about their pain and their trauma and their healing. And it was very therapeutic for this person. But in return, it also helped other people. So, yeah, that's what Saturn retrograde in the 8th house can do for some of you Gemini people. I just saw somebody with a really cool name. Speaking of Gemini energy can make you like just distracted. Oh, Hippie Witch Tarot. I love your name. Yes. Okay, I love your name. Oh my God. Oh yes, you're gonna go see Snoop. Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. I hope you enjoy that show. I think I've only seen him one time. Can you believe that? All the years I've been a fan. I still have my original Snoop Dogg shirt from 1994, I think. It's all faded and stuff, but I'm a Taurus and we tend to save everything, and I have it folded and put it in a nostalgia box somewhere. It's too faded to wear, but like you can still see it. It's an original from back then. Yeah. So anyway, enjoy the show. Enjoy the show for me. Okay. All right. Next up is Cancer. So if you're a Cancer rising, a Cancer sun, or a Cancer moon, Saturn is retrograde in your 7th house. So for you guys, this is also something to do with relationships and working on relationships. Now, I know Saturn in the 7th could be kind of scary for a lot of people, especially if you're coupled, especially if you're married, you've been together with someone for a long time, you've been married for a long time, you think that this is like a death sentence and gloom and doom for your relationship. Not always. Not always. Sometimes it can be. Sometimes Saturn in the 7th can mean like a breakup, you know, that could be pretty heavy in nature. And Saturn retrograde, though, it can be an opportunity to go back over your relationship and work on it for the next few months. If you're coupled with somebody and you've had any issues over the past 3 months, you know, January until now, whatever has come up to the surface at that time, it can be up for review. And maybe it is like trust issues, or maybe it's like, oh, well, one person wants to get out and have fun, the other person wants to be more of a homebody or something like that. It could be any of those things, like to where your relationship is in a lack of balance, you know? So Saturn retrograde can actually be an opportunity to work on the balance within your relationship. Make sure you guys are on the same page with the direction of it and where you want it to go. And, you know, just how the relationship operates. Saturn is all about systems of operations. So it could be a time of correcting them to make sure that things work out for the long run. And Saturn is about the long term. And if you find something is like snatched away from you or something, Just know that because Saturn is about the long term and the long run, that maybe this wasn't something that would have been good for you, moving forward, like during like a long period of time. Oh my gosh, yeah, this Mars and Neptune square is off the chain, you guys. I am getting like a little tired. I'm really gonna drink some more green tea. Hold on one sec. I'm sorry. I'm like, give me caffeine. So anyhow, an opportunity to rework your relationship for Cancer people. For some of you guys, maybe if you're single, maybe it is taking a look at why you're single if you don't want to be single. Maybe it's working on yourself and how you behave in relationships, how you view relationships. Where are you meeting people at, Cancer? Are you meeting them online? Are you meeting them at the bar? Are you actually meeting people that you have a meaningful bond with, like you can have meaningful conversation? Um, that their love style matches yours, or you guys at least understand each other's love styles and languages. So Saturn retrograde could be asking you a lot of those questions. Yeah, let's see what else with Saturn in the seventh. I mean, pretty much that's what it is. It's working hard, twice as hard on some relationship stuff. And sometimes it can feel like things are very slow moving as far as progress. But don't worry, progress can still happen during this transit. And maybe when September comes around, maybe you guys will be stronger as a couple if you're with somebody. Or if you're not with somebody, hey, maybe you will be with somebody by the time September hits because you learned a lot about relationships and, enough to be able to handle yourself in one that's going to be long lasting. Okay, so that's what it is for Cancer people. Okay, so Dreamweaver asks, I have a question. If you have the same moon and rising sign, are you more that sign or more your sun? Okay, well, the sun, the moon, and the rising are the big three in astrology that really determine like the core of you and your personality. So if you have two of those in the same sign, I would say, yeah, that does make you a little more of that particular sign that you have the rising and moon in than your sun sign. Maybe those two placements being in that same sign can come through a little more than your sun sign in your personality. So I hope that answers your question. Alrighty then. So next up is Leo. So if you're a Leo rising, a Leo sun, or Leo moon, Saturn's going retrograde in your sixth house. This is your health. This is your work. So, for example, if you are a Leo and maybe you have a bad habit, maybe you have an addiction, this is a good retrograde Saturn period. Saturn retrograde is a good period for you to work on getting rid of that addiction. Whatever it is, maybe you have an addiction to sugar or to taking pills all the time, like abusing them, so if you don't correct the problem yourself, then Saturn is going to be like karma, and he's going to do something to correct it for you. He can take drastic measures, just like a boss giving you an assignment to do, hey, can you help me out with this, Leo? Yes, I can. And actually this may happen to some of you guys because this is in your house of work as well. Yeah, I can do it, boss. What's up? Here, I need you to do this task for me, but make sure you do it right. Okay, I'll do it. Okay, say that you don't do it correctly or do it in a timely manner or something. Then that's when the boss will snatch and be like, you know what, just forget it. I'm going to do it myself, Leo. And, maybe there's some consequences to that. So yeah, that's what it can be like as far as, or maybe there's some consequences like you get written up or you get fired. That can literally happen, or it can just be used as a metaphor, like something is taken away because it wasn't the best for you and you were not getting rid of it. So anyhow, you can be the initiator of some sort of change when it comes to things that you may be addicted to, unhealthy habits of any kind, because this is the sixth house of health and habits. If a job has been unhealthy for you and you've just been like plugging along still at the same job, even though it doesn't treat you very well or reward you for your work well enough, well, then maybe this job may be taken away. Or maybe you're taking on this Saturnian energy and saying, you know what? I'm looking around. I don't think this company is worthy of me and my skills, so I'm going to take them elsewhere. So it could be you initiating things too. Um, yeah, so that's what it is for Leo people. It is something to do with health and something to do with work that you're going back over, you're reworking things. It could be the systems that you implement into your work day, what, however many days that you work a week. You are redoing them. You're like, okay, I'm going to tear everything down. I'm going to like not use this system or this program, and I'm going to start fresh and new with something else and see how that works for me. So yeah, that's what it is for Leo people. So next up is Virgo. So if you're a Virgo rising, sun, or moon, Saturn is retrograde in your 5th house. And that is you working on some things to do with your self-esteem. Could be romance and dating too. Could be a time where your dating life is a little dry, to be honest, and it's only going to be for like 4 months, if any of you Virgos can help it. This could be a time of reviewing how you handle your children too, your relationships with your kids, or whether or not you want kids. That can be a big question that you're being asked, and asked a lot, to be answered, like some serious questions about it, not just like, oh yeah, kids are cool. They're like little dolls that you dress up and they're fun to take out. No, they are a whole human that's a lot of responsibility, and that's what Saturn in the 5th retrograde could be showing you. A different, if you have that perspective about kids, but also the 5th house, it does have to do with Hopefully you guys can see and hear me. Let me just double check everything. Okay. Wow. I am so glad that I was able to jump back into this broadcast because let me tell you. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry I was on Virgo, wasn't I? Yeah, my laptop, it has an issue. It still has it has a virus, and it does this weird thing to where it shuts off the internet. It shuts down the internet like out of nowhere and closes all my windows, and whatever I was working on, it won't. It'll just disappear, and yeah, I need to get it fixed, hopefully soon. Anyway, okay, you guys. So I was talking about Virgo. I was letting you guys know about Saturn retrograde in the fifth house. If any of you guys are Virgos and you've had an issue with having confidence within yourself, this can be a time to work on that. It can definitely be that time to where you are, maybe some people could be codependent, like they determine their own self, like how they feel. If they feel good about themselves and feel worthy, they can base that on other people. Like other people have to light them up with compliments or reassurance for them to feel like they're worthy and for them to have their self-esteem on high. Well, the Saturn retrograde could be facing some fears, and maybe some of you guys have stage fright. When I think Saturn retrograde in the fifth, I think the fifth house is a stage, being on stage, being in center of stage, or the center of attention, having the spotlight on you. So maybe you have a fear or a phobia of that, Virgo, but that's something you have to get over. So Saturn retrograde is going to help you to work on some stuff to do with that area of life. And yeah, like I said, it could be like something to do with your children, relationships with your children, parenting them or whatever. Maybe there's something that you're working on there as well. Okay, so next up is Libra. So if you're a Libra rising, a Libra sun, or a Libra moon, then Saturn retrograde is in your fourth house. You know what? Actually, I know a person who I know they're a Libra. They're a Libra rising, and they're a Libra rising, and they're doing something. They're not getting along with their family. Fourth house is family, and it's also home, like where you live. They're not getting along very well with their family, and therefore they are going to move to another country, somewhere else, away from their family, against their family's wishes. They're just like, I don't care what you people think anymore. I'm gonna move, and even if it is far away from you guys, it's just what I'm gonna do. So Saturn retrograde in the fourth could be facing some fears, some anxieties, dealing with some karmic stuff that has to do with your family and relationships with them. So for some Libras, it could be that. It could be, yeah, if the place you're living at is no longer comfortable or secure or matches your vibe, your energy. Saturn retrograde in the fourth could be looking at that and seeing, hey, maybe I should live somewhere else. Maybe I should move. For some people, it can have you working on those relationships with your family, the deep rooted relationships that you have, And Sally says, I would love to move away and start again. Sally, are you a Libra? Let us know, because that's the sign I'm talking about. It can be working on your relationships with your family members, if any of them had any issues or anything like that. And for some people, this could be going back to your roots. The fourth house is your roots. So it could be like going back to your roots in some sort of way, like wherever your homeland is. If you have a homeland that's not where you live currently, maybe it could be you going back to that place, and rediscovering some things about your roots and your family history that you never knew, and they have a really profound effect on you as a person. And it's like, wow, maybe some Libras might be doing those DNA tests that let you know like where you come from, and like your nationality and your background, and your DNA. Yeah, the DNA test. But yeah, for some of you guys, it is moving. It is starting over. It is relocating, and it's a huge relocation that is very emotional in nature, So Saturn retrograde over the next few months can have some of you guys at least thinking about that or making a plan to move. And let's see. You always feel like moving, but you always tell people they should. Yeah, I hear you on that. Live in the country, ready to move back to the city. Oh, okay. So, yeah, rethinking where you live, and is it comfortable? Does it match you? Um, so that's what Libras could be dealing with, some family stuff and some home stuff with Saturn retrograde. And Scorpio, so if you're a Scorpio rising, sun, or moon, then Saturn is retrograde in your third house, and this is communication. So if any Scorpios have had issues with that, this is what you're going to be working on. And for some people, it can mean you know, uh, like correspondence that you've, maybe there's people that you haven't talked to in a long time, or maybe there's conversations that you should have had with people, and maybe you just kind of didn't say anything. Well, Saturn in the third is going back over that. It's reminder hey, there's a conversation that needs to be had. Hey, this could be your conversational skills that you're working on, or yeah, in a lot of ways it can be that. Let's see, what else with Saturn in the third house? Maybe it is redoing the way that you correspond with others, how well do you, or how quickly do you do it, or other ways that people can get a hold of you. Like maybe you're not the best at talking on the phone, right? But you still need to keep contact with people. So maybe you can just start telling people, hey, the best way to reach me is through email or through DM on a certain platform. That's the best way to reach me, so that we can stay in better contact and better communication with others. And another thing is Scorpio is a water sign. It's a very secretive water sign, and all the water signs could be kind of quiet in a way. And we can a lot of times think, I say we because I'm Scorpio rising. A lot of times, and I'm a Pisces moon too, like that's a double water. So water signs, we can think a lot of times that because we can pick up on people's thoughts and feelings and emotions very easily. That's stuff that's unspoken a lot of times. We're good at picking up on that. Okay, the little nuances, the little subtleness that's going on, and just know what a person is going through or what they feel. But not everybody operates like that. Not everybody is really strong with their nonverbal communication skills. So this could be a lesson, Saturn retrograde in the third house for Scorpio, to learn that verbal communication, even if it's just a very quick, hey, how are you? Just letting you know I'm thinking about you. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. And that's it. Is good enough. It's working on stuff like that, because I'll tell you, as a Scorpio rising myself, Saturn in the third is really teaching me that I feel like I have to put so much energy into responses to people and into talking them. Like Scorpios, especially, we put a lot of energy and passion into everything, into every interaction with people. And so we don't like small talk. We feel like it's cheap, we feel like it's a ripoff to do small talk, or just say if someone emails you, a lot of us Scorpios, we don't want to just be just send an email back with a K, like the letter K, or okay, and that's it. We don't care for small talk. We don't care for quick responses like that. We feel like we have to really be personal, put our personal energy into a long response. And a lot of times, sorry, my throat is itchy. And a lot of times people don't care about that. They wouldn't care if you sent them just a quick little okay or something, So I know that for me as a Scorpio rising, that has been a really big lesson with Saturn in the third. Some people, friends have been getting a little booty hurt if I don't respond back right away to them. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have several different email addresses for several different platforms and purposes, and different accounts for different things. And sometimes all these messages and emails and stuff can get overwhelming, so I can't always respond back immediately right away. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, if I respond back, say the next day, they get all mad. And I'm like, at least I responded. But, maybe this Saturn in the third retrograde is just teaching us Scorpios that even though we're super passionate and we put a lot of emotion into our interactions with people, not everything has to be that deep. Sometimes they can be very third house in nature, which is very fast and just like two words, and people would be satisfied with that. At least it's a response. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that we could be working on as Scorpios. Sorry, hold on one second, you guys. Oh my gosh. Okay. So next up is Sagittarius. If you're a Sag rising, sun or moon, um, Saturn is retrograde in your second house, which is your money, like how you make money, what you do with your money once you get it, once you've earned it. What do you spend it on? How often do you spend it? How much of it do you save? Um, how are you earning money in the first place? Like, what kind of job do you have, or jobs, plural? So Saturn retrograde in the second for some Sages, yeah, maybe it is looking at a job situation and looking at it like, I don't know if this job is for me, or I don't know if I'm really getting paid what I am worth. I don't know if this job values me enough. I think I should be getting paid more. Let me see if I can ask for a raise. Sorry, let me see if I can ask for a raise, because yeah, this just isn't cutting it. I'm barely making enough to scrape by. I'm barely making enough to pay the bills and just kind of stay afloat. I would actually like to have more money. Sag energy especially loves to live life to the fullest, loves to spend money on enjoying themselves and having a good time. So maybe you guys could be looking at how can you earn enough money to do that, to live and also to survive. And maybe some of you guys may be getting rid of a job, quitting a job perhaps, looking for a higher paying one, or looking for ways that you can make money outside of where you punch a clock every day. And for some of you guys, maybe you can have something come up to where if you don't let go of a job, the universe, excuse me, pushes it out of your life one way or another. And even though it may be something that's like, oh my gosh, this sucks, like I got laid off or whatever, there could be something better for you, a better way to make money that's out there for you. Okay. So you got to take it as that. If it comes up from now, between now and September, it's like a karmic thing that's supposed to happen, a clearing out of something old to welcome something new. For some of you guys, this can be reviewing your budget and your spending habits. And like I said, I know Sagittarians, I know a lot of you guys. Um, and oh, thanks, Steve. Excuse me. Thanks for the super chat money. Um, a lot of you guys can be looking at how you're spending your money, what you're spending it on. And like I said, yes, Sagittarius really love to live it up and live life to the fullest and everything. So maybe you guys are being faced with situations where you're like, oh, snap, I've been spending too much and not saving. And, I have a really big goal of buying myself a vehicle, or, investing in some large, like big ticket asset or item, but you're not really putting forth the effort, in order to do that with your money. So for some of you guys, maybe it is like taking a look at that, being like, oh snap, I need to come up with a plan in order to invest and be able to, to purchase this large purchase that I want to make, or to save money for something big. I've got to cut out, I got to look at I got to review all my spending. I got to look at my bank statements or records and see like, where is all my money going? Because I just swiped that card like it ain't no thing, and just enjoy myself. So yeah, there's something financial that is going to come up for you guys, Sagittarius, and don't, and maybe it's like fears and doubts around money too. You're going to be looking at. I'm sorry, you guys. Just one moment. I know I hate to interrupt the broadcast again after the stupidity with my computer, but let me have 1 second, especially because my voice is like, my throat is itchy, so I have to be ugly off camera. Hold on 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I am Bach. Haha. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so I just told you guys about Sagittarius. Okay, so now let's move on to Capricorn. So if you're a Capricorn rising, a Capricorn sun, or a Capricorn moon, then Saturn is retrograde and in a conjunction with the South Node in your first house. That is you. So this is you, Capricorn. This is you reviewing you, like you, yourself, your life, your physical body, your identity as a person. Maybe some of you guys, like who you're known, as, how you're known, what you look like. You're just gonna do a complete, like, I'm telling you, Capricorns are gonna be different people over the next couple years. Like, you guys have already been going through Pluto in your sign. Pluto is about transformation, transformation of yourself and everything. And then, oh my gosh, what the hell? This better not be one of those stupid little like bugs that like to fly around, like those little gnats that come out when the weather is warmer. I swear one was flying around. It was, and it got in my eyelash. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, it was hanging out of my eyelash. Can you believe that? Ugh. Anyway, so Capricorn, yes, I'm sorry. So Cappies, yeah, maybe some of you guys are going to be redoing something to do with yourself and your appearance. That is so, I'm just like annoyed about that stupid little gnat. I'm like, how dare you, while I'm on camera, try to get stuck in my eyelash. This is so stupid. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let me start over. Capricorns. Saturn retrograding your sign. Who am I? Why am I here? How do I want to look? What do I want my physical body to look like? You know, my appearance, am I satisfied with it? If not, what am I going to do about it in order to fix it? You know, so there's some things like that that you could be really looking at. And pretty much anything in your life, anything in your world, Capricorn, you guys could be, it could be under review, under construction. With Saturn retrograde, it's under construction. And by the time we get to Saturn coming out of retrograde in September, it's like a brand new you once again. And you may be kind of more low key during this time, you know, going within and working on yourself. And so, you know, by the time September comes, it's like you emerge and you're like, yeah, I know I've been low key, everybody, but brand new me, brand new day, new phone, who this? New body, who this? New life, who this? So Saturn retrograde is definitely nothing for you to be scared of and to fear. When it's in your sign, it's a time to kind of just redo and restructure your life. Maybe some of you guys can be going through something like going through a name change, or maybe some of you guys are like deciding to do something like, okay, I want to join a gym membership. I want to work on my body. I want to have that be under construction. Maybe you guys are going to be looking in your closet and see your wardrobe and be like, this just isn't cutting it for me anymore. It doesn't fit me anymore. Like maybe literally, physically, but also like your personality and who you're becoming and changing into, transforming into. Maybe your wardrobe doesn't match that. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to take all these clothes out of here and I'm going to just redo my, you know, my image, my appearance, how I present myself to the world in some form or fashion. Maybe even fashion literally, okay? So yeah, it's just you going back over you and redoing you for Capricorn people. So for Aquarius, if you're an Aquarius rising sun or moon, Saturn is going retrograde in your 12th house. Now the 12th house is it is an area of your life that's a little more like low key and secretive and behind the scenes, working on things behind the scenes. And sometimes it can mean like they call it the house of undoing, you know, of self undoing or something, some term like that. But anyway, listen, a lot of you guys may be familiar with Wendy Williams. She's an Aquarius rising, right? And I know a lot. I'm sure not every Aquarius has their life falling apart, but I do have some Aquarius rising friends, and they've been going through some things, since Saturn went into Capricorn, and it's very emotional things, very things that like really change their lives, but they kind of go through some sort of a breakdown. Saturn in the 12th does cause breakdowns, breaking down of old and getting rid of it. And it can be things that you've been clinging on to, but you have to let go of. So look at Wendy. It was her marriage, like she says. She was holding on to it forever, but now it had to just dissolve. Oops, sorry, microphone. It had to dissolve away, and she had to get rid of it in order to become a brand new her. So Saturn retrograde here in the 12th, though, it can be like things that you need to let go of. Yeah, they're being brought to your attention a lot more. Um, and they can be, yeah, things you have to let go of. Like, it can be releasing of stuff that you've been holding on to for a long time. And that can also mean like addictions and stuff too. Saturn in the 12th house can rule addictions. It rules escapism. It rules any substances that you take to escape. And yeah, once again, Wendy Williams, good example of that. She felt like her life was falling apart and unraveling. And so what did she do? She turned to drinking and pills or whatever else, So Saturn is like helping to work on those things. And she has to be in isolation. Remember, she said she's in a sober house. That's isolation away from her family and away from her regular day-to-day people. So the Saturn retrograde period is going to be going back over the last several months of feeling like the things have been feeling like things are like falling apart. So it's reworking those things that you felt like they're falling apart. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Yeah, it's like reworking those things and maybe fixing them, fixing what's broken in your life. Um, if anyone or anything has left, it's being able to face that and deal with it instead of feeling like you've been abandoned in some way. And everything is just dissolved away and like, oh, my life is over. It's working. So you know what? Saturn in the 12th could be a really good time to work on not only addictions and issues like that, but to get some sort of help and therapy. Okay. Whatever you find to be therapeutic for you, and getting back in tune with spirituality. That's the 12th house too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Wendy over the next like 4 months, let's see, this is from April to September. That's like 5 months. I wouldn't be surprised if she, over the next like 5 to 6 months says that she's become more spiritual in nature, because the 12th house is spiritual, connection to spirituality. So maybe she's lost touch with that. And Saturn retrograde is a period of time where she can like, just start getting back in tune with that. And some of you Aquarius risings can be doing that as well. Maybe you've lost your way as far as believing in a higher power and connecting with that higher power. Okay, so next up is Aquarius, or I'm sorry, is Pisces. Pisces rising, sun, or moon. Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. This is your 11th house. So what about your friends? You guys remember that song from TLC back in the day? The 11th house, it is your friends. It's your friendships. It's just groups that you belong to and that you associate yourself with. And, you say, hi, my name is Pisces, and I am a member of blah, 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 or I am a part of blah, 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 blah. Whatever that blah, blah group is, that's the 11th house. So this is, Saturn in the 11th in general has had you guys seeing who are your real friends and who are just acquaintances and people that you can network with and just shake hands with and say, okay, all right, see you next time. And that's it. It's had you guys really working on that and maybe weeding out some people that are better off as just like, from a distance, you could be cool with them, but up close and personal, nah, you've really been hit with lessons about that. So Saturn retrograde is pretty much going back over that. If anything has come up between January until now, then, that's what's going to come up during Saturn retrograde. I could tell you my moon sign is Pisces, and I have had a situation like that to where, sorry, yes? Okay, but you have to be quiet. I'm live on YouTube. You know what YouTube is, right? Okay. Shh. Sorry about that, children. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I was saying that an example is, my moon sign is Pisces, and yeah, I would say from January until now, I have had a situation with someone that I considered to be a friend for years, and now the friendship seems a little weird. Like I don't really know where we stand, and maybe the Saturn retrograde will make me, as a Pisces moon, finally try to figure out, like, are we still cool or not? Like, are you even really a true friend? Because I feel like a true friend wouldn't just out of the blue stop talking to one of their friends, stop responding to their direct attempts to contact them or talk to them, it's like, okay, like I understand if you're going through some things or whatever and you're kind of going under the radar, but I feel like if we're friends, you would talk to me about whatever's going on, not just disappear from me too, So it's like reevaluating people like that. Are they truly a friend? Or is that like just somebody, it's just, oh, when you see them, it's kind of very surface level and then it's left at that. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, that's an example of Pisces energy that's like looking at their friends. And I know another Pisces who's a Pisces rising, and they've been looking at their friendships and saying, you know what? I don't think this group of friends really suits me anymore because I'm trying to be an adventurous person. I'm trying to be out and about. I'm trying to get into some new things, exciting things in life. And these friends of mine, like they just kind of they're homebodies and they don't really go anywhere, or maybe they're very sheltered and they just don't really care to explore the world like I do. So I think I may need a new set of friends. They've kind of been talking about that, but not really doing too much about it. So maybe this Saturn retrograde period will have you actually weeding out people, unfortunately, that you thought were friends, or maybe I know this person that, yeah, they belong to a certain group and they've attracted these friends that are kind of like only into like video games, right? There are those people that just stay home and play video games all day long and that's it. And this person kind of outgrew that, and so now they want a group of friends that have a common interest, other common interests, like outside of sitting at home playing video games. You know what I'm saying? So for some Pisces, yeah, it could be you guys going back over that and seeing who your true friends are, seeing if there's any other groups that you can explore that are more fitting for you to belong to and associate with. Um, and for some of you guys, there could be a lesson that does come up, like where you really thought someone was truly a friend, and Saturn retrograde could be like, look, this person is not your friend, and if you don't weed them out, I will. Papa Saturn will take away what's bad for you that you want so badly, but it's not good for you, So that's it, you guys, for the horoscope portion of this broadcast. So excuse me, before I completely lose my voice, you guys know as a Taurus rules the throat. I also have Mercury in Taurus, and that doesn't, it just makes it even more like I'm more susceptible to losing my voice. But let's see the coffee talk. If you are exiting out because you don't care to see a celebrity's chart as an example of astrology, then peace. Maybe I'll see you next week. But for those of you who are going to stick around, thank you very much. And let's talk. So, for our example today, we're going to look into the chart of Adele, right? Adele is a singer, once again. She has a very beautiful voice. She's a gorgeous woman. And they have a birth time for her on astrotheme.com. And it says they got it from their birth certificate and from her biography. So maybe it could be correct. We shall see. Okay, so what's going on in Adele's chart? Now, she just got divorced, but from the article I read, it said that actually her and her husband quietly separated like 8 or 9 months ago, and now the divorce is actually just being finalized. So Can we see divorce in a chart for people? I think we can, and I'm going to point it out to you guys and show you how that is. So, poor Adele. That really sucks. Okay. All right. So, can you guys see the chart? Okay, so this is Adele's chart. Now, Astro Theme has her as a Cancer rising. She's a Taurus sun and Jupiter, yes, but her rising sign is Cancer. So a lot of times when we look for stuff like divorce, we would look at mainly the 7th and 8th houses. Is there anything going on there in that 7th or 8th house that can indicate, signify something major, like a divorce or something? Well, first of all, we have Adele's 7th house of relationships. It has Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune in it. And she has Saturn in her natal Saturn in Capricorn. That means she's going through her Saturn return right now. Saturn is in the sign of her 7th house. So, she by nature has a lot of lessons around love and relationships and commitments and partners and marriage. And that is why she has a lot of like love song, like her music, a lot of it is based around relationships, because the hardest lessons she has in this lifetime are based on relationships because of Saturn here. Another thing that points to that is Venus conjunct Chiron. Venus is also love and relationships. Chiron is pain and suffering and being wounded and healing from it and being able to help others to heal and to learn about relationships because of the pain that you've gone through and experienced. Venus conjunct Chiron. I have this placement in my natal chart, and I really love doing relationship astrology to advise other people. And I use a lot of my experiences of pain from as a result of relationships in my astrological work, to help understand when things that are painful happen, in order to help to for other people to understand why. So she has that. That's why most of her songs are about love and heartache and stuff, right? So but back to Saturn. Her Saturn return is a huge lesson in love and marriage, and Saturn is currently here in Capricorn. So, unfortunately, that's what it is for her. And so anybody who has Saturn transiting their 7th, whether they have a natal Saturn there or not, it is a very challenging time within their marriage or relationships. I have a few friends who are Gemini risings, that I can, like, at least 3 examples, and there are people very close to me. One of them actually did get a divorce when Saturn was in their 7th house, when it was in Sag. One of them did get a divorce, and it was a painful divorce. One of them went through a very rocky period in their marriage to where they were considering divorce because they just were not getting along. They were not coming to a common ground with anything. And then the other one, they just went through a little rocky period as well, to where it was tough to get along. But after Saturn moved out of the 7th house, that work was done. The rocky period was over, and they got through it, and they came out a stronger couple. And as a matter of fact, now they're engaged, and, best of luck to them. And then the other couple that stayed together, they're doing well as well. They're getting out and doing things a lot more with each other. So Saturn in the 7th is not always a death sentence for your marriage if you're married. But in her case, I think it's just a heavier lesson because it's her natal Saturn too. It's her Saturn return. But I read that they said that, the love was just lost. It was just gone. Like the spark was gone. And a lot of times that can happen too with Saturn transiting the 7th. And then when Saturn gets to the 8th house, that is a time where a lot of people, they do work on, if they did get a divorce, sometimes they went through a rocky period with Saturn in the 7th and Saturn in the 8th, they get a divorce, and they work on separation of their assets. And also the 8th house is joining of 2 souls, so it is you having to separate the 2 souls. And that means you having to detox from that person, get them out of your system, out of your energy field. And it is difficult. So I would say let's see, this is 20 degrees, this line right here. And Saturn is at like 20 degrees, right? So it looks like Saturn is currently transiting right on the cusp of her 8th house. And then it's going to go retrograde here in the 7th. So who knows, maybe they may not fully go through with the divorce. Maybe they may just be separated, and maybe there's going to be a time period where they can work on their marriage and decide to, maybe they change their minds and want to work it out. Um, that can possibly happen with Saturn retrograde here this year. But yeah, a lot of cancers are going through this. Wendy Williams, once again, another prime example because she's been all over the news. She is a Cancer sun sign, and Saturn in Capricorn is opposing her. It's in the solar 7th house for her, so she's also going through a divorce. It's tough, but it's something that has to happen karmically. When Saturn's involved. Remember, he's that dad figure that if something isn't good for you, but you want to really desperately hold on to it, if you don't let it go, he'll take it away. So there's something with this marriage, excuse me, that maybe wasn't good for her and it just needed to be taken away. Um, sorry. So that's like the biggest factor here with her divorce. Now, what do I think about the future for her? Yeah, maybe by the end of this year, it could be that she and her husband work it out and maybe decide not to go through with it because Jupiter is going to enter the sign of her 7th house at the end of this year, December 2019. It's going to be there until the end of until the end of 2020, right? So Jupiter can bring some blessings and some lessons. So either she will just follow through with the divorce and leave it at that and just be single for a while, maybe be low key, take it easy, just kind of work and not deal with men. But then Jupiter is going to step in here and maybe bring an abundance of suitors, people that want to date her. Or maybe it could be that if she goes back to her husband and they work things out, Jupiter in the 7th could be a time when they kind of have a better luck, happier times within their union. But yeah, so a lot of times this transit of Saturn in the 7th can mean a divorce. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, but not 100%, not guaranteed, not gloom and doom. But in Adele's case, unfortunately, it is. Um, but you know what? She has to look at these experiences as a gift and a blessing because she gives back to the world through her pain, through these Saturn in the 7th lessons, through the Chiron conjunct Venus lessons. She gives back to the world, and her best art can come through. And it's so crazy because now people, whenever an artist goes through a breakup, people start to tweet or talk about, oh, we know their next album's gonna be fire. We know their next album's gonna be really good. They're gonna have a lot of good songs because they went through another heartbreak. And it's true, a lot of times, unfortunately, it is true. That's how artists, artists, there is their therapy. It's therapeutic. It's how they get over things and deal with things. And they just, like mad scientists, they convert their pain into beautiful art. So they're still probably feeling a lot of that pain, but it's good to get it out. Like, trust me, listen, I'm not a poet. It's hard for me to be that way by nature, but I went through some heartache and I was able to write poetry that actually made sense and was actually pretty good. I showed it to like a few different people and they said it was actually good and I was surprised. And it was as a result of heartache I was able to write that stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of times an artist's best art comes through pain. So Adele is a prime example of that. Hopefully she's able to work through this stuff and express what she feels through her music. And we can all enjoy it, of course, but it can help her out to just get it all out. Just get it all out, honey. Okay. All right. So let me see what you guys are saying really quick, and then I've got to jump to Jet. Yeah, okay. We don't really need to talk about political stuff in here, you guys. That needs to chill. This is astrology. Okay. When you had Saturn in your late 7th house, you met your ex Capricorn that you were with for almost 20 years. When Uranus was going through there, you weren't getting along, you broke up, you found someone else right away. Wow, that's interesting. That happens to a lot of people. Yeah, I went through a really hard breakup that felt like a divorce when Saturn was in my 7th house, but Jupiter was there at the same time. So I had a lot of other options waiting for me at the same time that I was going through a painful breakup, you know? So it depends on what planets are going through there. Um, yeah. So anyhow, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's broadcast. And I really hope you were able to learn something. And I hope that you guys have a really good week. Be careful driving with that Mars and Neptune square that's going on. Don't fear Saturn retrograde. It's a time of just like, you know, looking at things from a different perspective and being able to correct them. Okay. So I will see you guys next week. We'll talk about the new moon in Taurus. Of course, I'm a Taurus lady, so I'll be really happy to tell you guys all about it, what it means, and I'll go through every sign and everything. Okay, so take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time I am on, which should be next week. All right, bye, everybody.